Yeah, Ron. Yeah, very early today. I just thought I'd better get some work done. I haven't done anything in 2 days. Every time I tried to get some work done, I would fall asleep, which is not really a good thing, but I guess I needed some sleep. That or I'm just feeling lazy. Not rightly sure. To give a bit of a background recap, a while ago we did an A1425 and it just died. When we were cleaning the MagSafe, it just died. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe it's just a MagSafe. I got replacement MagSafes and it was still dead. Turned out SMC was the problem, so I replaced the SMC, but now that I've got the SMC on the device, it's not showing me a battery. And it's not even giving the communications to the battery, so I'm not even getting a crossed out battery or anything like that. So I don't know whether I've still got a bad SMC from the other donor that I've got, or whether I've got a bad battery. My money is kind of on the battery with an A1425, but I need to be able to differentiate. And unfortunately, because it is the long Easter weekend, I can't just order in a battery to test. But what I do have is a donor board, and this one isn't in too bad a condition, but it does have a fault on it. It seems to be a short up around here. I'm just going to try and see if I can fix this donor board, connect it into the chassis, and maybe if we can get some battery communications, we can say, okay, then it's the SMC, and we'll just take the SMC off here and put it on the other board. Or if it's the battery, nothing comes up, we can assume it's the battery that's at fault. So anyway, let's see if we can get this fixed up. Let's see if we can sort this short out. I have a horrible feeling this might actually be a board level short, which is going to really make things unfortunate. So I'll just drop my current consumption down. You can see the 470 is already rather brown. But the trouble is it's burning up faster than I can really make a assessment, so I'm actually putting a lower voltage on and see if I can find out where. Okay, it could actually be the regulator. Yeah, I think it's the regulator. Now I can get away with using a much lower current in that particular case because the fact that it's the very front end of the power system. It's not really, I'm not relying on waking up anything else. This is a 342 section. So I'm going to guess that regulator's cactus. Stick a bit of shielding over. Even though this is a donor, I don't want to damage things unnecessarily. And particularly that I do want to be plugging this into the chassis. So I want to cover that plastic. Just take the MagSafe out. Yeah, you're just going to be difficult, aren't you? The 470 will have to go as well, or it's a 47 ohm resistor, so 47 and 0 multiplier on the 10s. Yeah, it's not a guarantee that the regulator is faulty. It could just have something external to it, shorting, but we're just going to take it off and then we can test the pins. I'm running a little low on heat here. Uh, 80k, that's pretty good. Actually, it's kind of weird. One of them should have come up with a 0 ohms going to ground. Oh wait, this isn't... No, I'm completely misread the circuit. That's not the regulator. That's actually just a MOSFET. That's the... Yeah, okay, my bad, my bad. So if we look here, this is the device we just pulled off. I thought it was a 342 regulator. It's not. It's actually this device here. Alright, so... Why is that thing... Oh wow, yeah, 342's way over here. That's crazy. So the regulator is way over here, and the input resistors are way over here. That's crazy. Let's see. I think I'm misreading a lot here. There we go. Alright. I guess they can do that sort of long distance stuff because it is only a low current on the 342. So we actually may... Yeah, it's this kind of weird. It's very weird because that's burning up, which means there must be something to ground over here. Unless... No, it's got to be something after that. There's got to be something over here. We'll check the diode. Let's see, diode mode. It's always fun when they change the circuitry around to a non-standard sort of orientation, and so you get caught out making assumptions like I just did. So here's our diode. Open. Okay, that pin there is shorted, which means that could be internally shorted, are you? No. .07 is very low, and that's the PP bus. Let's do the all-in. Hey Jim. Okay, so why is this one... Short's getting stronger on that side. That's not good. I'm definitely misreading something here. I'm getting the feeling there's actually... the short is on the PP bus. So I'm gonna take these two parts off. Risk melting my connector. Given the amount of current that was flowing through, it wouldn't hurt to take these off anyway and just replace them. Okay. Alright, we're going to have a look at F7040. Let's see what the heck's going on there. That's this fuse here. See if we've got short there. Yep. Yep, that's pretty low. Let's switch it to resistance and see what it actually is. Okay, it's not that low. It's 77. I mean, it's low, but it's not profoundly low. 77 is not exactly... this is where it gets frustrating. And now... Jim, I haven't had a chance, actually, at this point. I've been meaning to, but I haven't had a chance. I'm sorry. Except between sleep and dealing with non-work matters, it's been a bit crazy. 73 ohms there. I'm going to check on another donor. Yeah, so that's about 500 ohms, call it. Well, we'll probably have to use the infrared camera. We will... I'll find out first as well if it's on the system side or the input side. We'll replace the fuse, which is going to be devilishly tricky, given the fact that we have that connector there. Why do they put the fuse right next to a very melty type connector? That's just downright... It's just downright rude of them to do that, in honesty. Might find another place for the PV bus. Yeah, I suppose we could use the diode point. It's just a bit small, that diode point. I really don't like, and the fact that the pad on it, as you can see, that is all you have. If you rip that out, you're going to have some crying problems. Maybe I'll try attach it to here. Decisions. Hopefully I don't regret what I'm about to do here. Famous last words, I do realise. More than acutely aware of how many times we say that and then go, I regret doing that. Jeez. It's attached. Except that's a red wire, and we actually want to... it's a red wire place, we want a red wire there. And where is Paul's red wires? He doesn't seem to have any. Hey Pedro, how's business at I Scam You? Given that you're in Canberra, it should be pretty good going over there. Scam capital of Australia. And hopefully this should do for a ground point. Looks like this donor's seen a fair bit of liquid damage. but hopefully it should still function. If this doesn't function, then I'm gonna basically be forced to have to take the SMC off and migrate it directly and hope. But it would kind of suck to have to do that only to find out that it is the battery. What's the matter? Everybody put their money into Easter bunnies instead of your scams. Yeah, we can drop our voltage right down. Two volts, 2 amps. Actually, we'll put the voltage up. I just realized because of that high resistance. Quit your complaining. We'll try 4 and 2. Hey, Defum. So has GW Instech given you a free piece of equipment yet? Okay, we've only got about 1 watt walking into that. It's actually enough. Usually with this infrared meter, you can pick up 1/4 of a watt of power in most cases. Sergi, no, this is very rare for me to do this sort of thing during the daylight. Okay. Very, very rare. Okay, power on. Okay, looks like we found our issue somewhere there. Yeah, it looks like it's quit right at the same time. Oh well. Power's still going in. It's 1 watt. What have we got down there? Oh well, yeah. I guess that sort of makes it clear. That's very burned. So you the ISL? Yep, 625.9. Guess we'll just get rid of that one. Definitely a hole in the bucket. And notice that resistor on the current sense has also got a hole in it. Right there. The question is, how much catastrophic damage has this gone through? 80 ohms. That's a little high. I think that should either be a 0 or a 2. Yeah, that's definitely gone catastrophically high. Kind of wonder what caused that. So put my air up a little bit. I'm just finding lately 110 on the air is just a little bit too much. It blows things around excessively, it blasts all the flux away from the chip. So I'm trying to find a compromise where I don't blast the flux away, but I also still manage to get a decent amount of thermal energy transferred. I wonder if this has welded itself to the board. Okay, thankfully it's not a weld job. Just knock that cap off. And remember, this is just a donor board. This is not actually the board that we are trying to fix. In the sense of, we're only hoping that we can get something functional out of this board so we can test to see whether we have an SMC or a battery issue. Aside from SMCs, the next most common chip that I don't have on these donor boards is the ISL. I probably should just order myself a spool of, I don't know, 50 or 100 ISLs. I mean, it seems expensive initially, but it does save you the time of having to rip them off from other boards. Not you, you got the wrong components around you. You look like you've already been soldered before. Perfect. Yeah. Took a while. Hey Def, enjoy your dinner. Sad to hear about your fake ISLs. That's not good. Johnny Chang, yeah, I've got 2 donor boards. Now, I've already taken the SMC off one, but even though the system all comes up properly, I'm not showing any battery. And so I'm trying to evaluate now whether I've got a battery fault or an SMC fault by trying to fix up the second donor just for the sake of, you know, seeing if it shows a battery activity or not. It seems a bit long-winded. I could just replace the SMC, but I guess I feel like doing things differently today. Some people are going to have a complete aneurysm over that, and I wish them well. Mostly because I don't want to have to replace another SMC if it doesn't need it. Okay, alright, so we need that resistor there, which we can take, amusingly enough, from... I should have just taken the parts right away from the donor. So this is the donor here. This is the donor that I originally got the SMC from. Now it is too liquid damaged for me to do anything with it. Up near the other areas there's just too much liquid damage, so it's not a board I could actually get running again. Whereas the second donor obviously had the ISL short, so there's a chance that we might get it running again. Interesting that the fuse didn't blow. I suppose for some they'll say, nope, not very interesting, that's normal. But it is still interesting to me because, yeah, I guess it's a case of overall the current wasn't excessive, but it was when concentrated in the wrong areas. So we're just going to have to transfer these 4 parts across. A little bit of a schlep because I've got to transfer the protective shield as well each time. And I need to put some leaded solder down to make my life a little bit easier. I'll do. Hey, Billy Bob Gordon. All you can do is just keep uploading. There's no real rhythm or rhyme or rhythm to YouTube video successes. I mean, I've got almost 1,000 videos up and I'm still floundering, which means basically I suck. Whereas you look at scumbags like Jason Vilmer of SDS and he's barely got any videos up, and lo and behold he's at 100,000. That scumbucket Floridan person. Living up the good life. It definitely comes down, I think, a lot. The most common trait I see is typically controversial figures. And the more outrageous you are, the more YouTube pushes you up. And unfortunately, I'm just not one for being outrageous. Nor do I have interesting content, so I'm losing out on both accounts. I know there's people who enjoy watching this, but you know what I mean, when it comes to actually really jumping up on the YouTube subscription ranks, yeah, I'm destroying that connector. I'm sorry. Maybe that's what I need to do more of. More JTAG destructions, more yelling at Apple, things like that. I mean, as it is, I have a hard time yelling at Apple, particularly from the engineering perspective. I mean, yeah, they've made some bad choices with some designs. I'd say the keyboard thing is more something I can blame them for. The things like the GPU issues and stuff like that, I tend to lay a little more blame on the GPU manufacturers. And even with the 1534s, I lay a little more blame on Intel for that. So yeah, I'm not really rocking the boat too much, or not being a populist hater. Yeah, I am myself. That's pretty much it. And I guess that's what matters long term, maybe. Not really. Few people get rich and famous by being themselves. Just want to get that to flow back a little better. Okay, that's good. Cool it down. Oh yeah, I saw Lewis got 100,000 extra. But of course, he's not. Obviously, he's not getting that money for himself. It's not like it's some GoFundMe or anything where he gets to pocket the money. I'd say 90% of the money he's getting, he'll end up redistributing to someone else, one way or another. Alright, let's see if this thing boots. Let's see if we get back. Change our memories. Okay. This may not boot at all. It may just be a catastrophic fireball or nothing. A tick 121. Yep, you're right about that. Pedro be the law firm that gets most of the money, sadly. Because they make the laws, they get the money. So yeah, this goes. I've zoomed in just in case it, catches on fire. No, it actually did. It's booting. Let's see if we get the green blinks a bit more. Yep, this thing's alive. Maybe Frankenstein-y, but it's alive. We fixed a parts donor. Well, that's good. Means I can use it as a test board for other jobs too. Alright, now I've got to take this one out. This sucks. I am genuinely hoping it's a battery fault, because I really am not in the mood to do an SMC today. At least not on this board. Mostly because I don't want to sully up this board. It's already been ultrasonic cleaned and everything like that. It's ready to go back to its owner. But yeah, when I boot it up with my usual MacOS USB stick, it, lo and behold, had no battery information. And that made me sad. Number 5, Johnny 5 is alive. I saw some pretty nasty comments on the Lewis contribution thread on that Facebook there. It did sound like sour grapes from a bunch of people. Yeah, it's like, why? Yeah, they're just trying to find ways to cut him down or cast him as being some sort of fraud or anything really. And it's a bit unfortunate that they're doing that. I mean, Lewis may be, he may say a lot of things and such, but when it comes down to personal integrity, I don't have any issues with him. And regardless of whether someone thinks he's being organised or not, the thing is he's actually out there doing it. It's a bit like when people would criticise my code for not being perfect C11, C++, or basically just simply going, well, you're not doing professional code here, this is a bit of a mishmash, you've got this wrong, that wrong, I wouldn't do it that way, that's not the way the industry does it. But the difference is that I actually get the products out there, I actually make things that people can use, as opposed to these critic type people who just sit there and, well, that's all they do, they criticise, they don't actually have anything out there in the real world that other people are using. Occasionally you do get people who are critics and they do have other good products out there, but generally they don't tend to have that same annoying personality. Generally they're people that you already do look up to and respect opinion of. Copaz, yeah, I had to wait a while to get the new SMC because I had to wait for the donor boards to arrive. So I'm glad that the donor boards did arrive. I do hate the way that the 1425s have this flex right under the battery connector. So, who in their right mind designed this? This, I would say, is a bit of shonky design. Not rightly sure what compelled them to take the paths they did. Either feels like a different designer group or someone had their engineering cut in half or something, I don't know. It's almost like it's a machine that should have been a prototype for the 1502. And they ran out of time. They said, look, we're just going to have to ship something like this. And I don't know if Apple really has that tendency, though. Hey, Darren's Lab, welcome. Okay. Right, so this is the good donor. This is the one that we had all the bits and pieces around the SMC area needing rework. And now this is our hodgepodge donor that we're going to use to test to see if we've just wasted the last half hour and we should have been changing the SMC again. Now I'm getting the Captain tape because it's the only damn way I found to reasonably reassemble or reinstall these boards because of all the these flexes have no real room to move, like to come back, you kind of have to pin them before you put the board in, particularly this one under the battery flex. Alright, now that they're pinned back, I actually have a reasonable chance of getting this in. I've said it many a times, I really don't know how on the assembly side of it these people go. Whether they've got jigs or something like that to make this process go quickly. Or maybe Apple's just sort of thinking, well, this is a low cost side of things, as in the labour cost is very cheap per hour, so they don't really care that it takes them an extra 10 minutes to do it. Make sure I don't puncture that battery. The battery needs replacing regardless. I just want to make sure it's the only thing that needs replacing. Hey Vladimir. Armchair experts, I think you can generalize that as. But you encounter it so much that after a while you just sort of drown it out. The other thing is, in many ways, it becomes a a voice that compels you even more when you start getting these people being that sort of critical voice, and then you're kind of like, wow, thank you, glad to see that. It's ticking you off, means I must be doing something right. Or at least you hope so. But I think also that you can start to get a feel for if you're on the right track, or whether, you know, it genuinely is a dud job that you're doing. You know, because obviously if someone has given you a legitimately useful piece of information, saying, you know, that's not quite right, then you'd want to be able to capitalize on that. But most of the time it's just a case of people trying to justify their choices in life and wherever they are in life by saying things like that to, you know, reassure themselves that they know what they're doing. Actually kind of sounds like me right now. Oh God, I am my own worst nightmare. I hate these batteries. So who the heck invented this connection? I mean, I know there's nut jobs in the world, but this is truly a work of insanity. Alright, croaky croaky. Well, we don't have everything connected, but hopefully we've got enough. Okay, this is going to have to go on this side. Crikey, I just realised I left the solid state drive connected. Okay, that's not good. I don't even need to... Oh wow, we're still on? Shoot. Okay, that's a bad sign. It's a bad sign because I pulled that drive out. Alright, so we've either got SMC issue on that other board, or we've got a I2C, or... oh geez. We've got a lot of other things that could be wrong on the other board. Because this is still alive, it's staying on. Could be bad ISL. It's really not the response I wanted. Hey Stuart, wearing your mask? Sergi, Captain Tape is that colour because of the polyamide that it uses. In saying that, that is actually fake Captain Tape. If I apply heat to that tape, it will curl up. Okay, this is interesting. That's weird. It's also not showing the battery up. And when I try to get it to bring it up, it just momentarily shows up and then goes away. Curious. And our charge current is about the same. So maybe actually it is the battery at fault. It was just interesting that the chipmunk was staying alight. There, so this is actually given the same behavior as the other board. So I'm going to now assume that maybe it is the battery at fault. I do wish I had a spare, but I don't. So it's getting 1425 batteries is not something that you normally find. Certainly not ones that work. So I guess really, yeah, I'm at the point where what I have to do now is order a replacement battery and see whether it fixes the problem. And if it doesn't fix the problem, then I'm just gonna, throw it in the trash or something. Let's see, are you staying on? And there's not really any point in me putting the original board back in at this point. I may as well just wait until I get the battery, which will be Wednesday. It's so easy for the days and weeks to tick away. The customer becomes more and more aggravated because of the time required. And so what can I do? You guys want Easter break that completely and utterly trashes the ability to get products and parts here in a hurry? You want that holiday? Then this is the side effect of that holiday. Personally, I'm not really keen on the whole Easter break, the way it ruins everything myself. I can understand 3-day weekend, but I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine, the amount of holidays that we get. Forced holidays, rather. Definitely if you could spread it out nicely. But I know a lot of it comes down to the fact that, well, sometimes if you want to, if you've got children in your family, you need to have these sort of forced holidays to get anywhere. Okay, what's holding me back here? What? I've got something holding this board and I don't know what it is. Hey, awesome moth. Seriously, what is holding this back? I didn't have this problem with when I originally got there. I was just Bizarro. Alright, so at this stage, we're not going to do anything. That there is the original. We're just going to let it be, and we'll just have to wait until I get the battery for it. I'll see if I can find something else to fix in the meantime. I mean, I've got plenty of things I should be trying, but I'm not exactly in the mood for most things. Alright, Travis, take care. Let's see. Actually, I do have a machine I need to reassemble and send back. This one's got a bit of a story. You saw me fix this, I think, the other night. And unfortunately, this is where I've got to be a bit more of a hard business person. This was sent to me as a liquid damage fix. It turned out it wasn't liquid damage, and it was the shorted cap on the 342. But the trouble is that because it has been repaired before, the person sending it in, well, to the business, was under the assumption that this would be a warranty repair. But the fact that it was actually a 342 shorted cap, which was not part of the prior work, this is not under warranty. And so this is a business-to-business job. And so I'm going to be charging the business because it's like, well, this is not a warranty job. And they're obviously in a bit of a predicament now because the customer's saying, well, we don't want to pay for it because we believe it's under warranty. You only just fixed this a few months ago. But where I've got to be the harder person is that I'm kind of sick now of trying to let myself be the buffer for other businesses' mistakes, or not mistakes, but other businesses' issues. It's like we all have issues in business. We all have scenarios where we have to cop a loss to keep a customer or something like that. And I'm kind of, it's fine if it's your own direct customer, but under business to business, it's not my problem if you can't get the money out of the customer. That's your role and responsibility. And so, yeah, I'm just getting a bit frustrated with these sort of scenarios where that line between being a good client, business client and stuff is getting a little bit too blurred. And I mean, you feel, the trouble is you empathize with them. But unfortunately, empathy does not keep money in your bank account. I just realised the screw has to come out of there. Oh, what happened to Mick? Oh, sorry to hear about your dog, Mick. Genuinely. I know that's really not good at all. Like I said, I don't want to come across as a complete hard-ass. I want to do what I can to help, but this sort of is starting to get into the point where I'm sick of coughing up my own dollars for something that's really outside of the scope. I mean, I do it mostly to preserve the relationship, because I sort of think, well, there's going to be future jobs that are coming through. I think part of what's also driving it is the high number of failures, the non-repairs that are coming up now. Just as time goes on, it seems like the number of no fixes is creeping up more and more, particularly as we see more of the newer machines. So we're getting newer machines a lot quicker now, whereas partly I think because of the fact that Rossmann's promotion and awareness of the fact that customers can get their machines repaired, and so customers are coming along and saying, hey, I've got this 2020 machine that's dead, can you fix it? But as a consequence, you're going to have a higher number of failures because we don't have the parts or the boards, or the failure is more complicated. Whereas before we would sort of take 3-4 years before you'd start seeing a reasonable number of any given sort of machine, and then by then probably the ones that you couldn't fix are already fallen out of the way, and you're just left with the nice simple backlight jobs. I wish. Well, hopefully you'll look after those pups for sure. I know it's always so very hard. I think it's always crueler with dogs as well, because they just damn well don't live long enough, and I think that sucks tremendously. Cats, you can get 30 years out of them if you're really lucky or unlucky, some people might think. But dogs, it's by year 10 you're sort of already getting into that mindset of when's it going to happen. Even worse with things like Great Danes. Where did you come from? Damn it. Spare screw. Oh, there. That's where you came from. "15 years, yeah, that is actually pretty good for a dog. Well, glad you got that long. No, I was just sort of saying, it's when it starts playing on your mind. That's all. And someone's chewed out that cable there. So this, remember the previous board that we looked at, the A1425? See this configuration here, like you got the diode, the resistors, and that there, and you sort of think, that actually is the configuration we were looking at. That's the MOSFET. But then see here, we've got the 342 regulator, and so they're not too dissimilar. The main quick way of telling the difference, of course, would be the fact that the pad arrangements are very different here. We've got all of this is assigned to the MOSFET one side, whereas with the 342 regulator you've got a lot of individual pins being used for different functions. But the packaging can be similar, and you just sort of get caught out occasionally. Anyway, so I'm sending this one back with the bill, and they can decide what they're going to do after that. Because it is working. And I don't wish to deliberately fault the board again. Not to mention the fact that it's extra time for me. Like, spend another 10 minutes putting in a short circuit somewhere. And then there is the issue of, that sort of behavior could possibly come back and bite you in the ass. Oops. whether people down the pub would agree with you of doing that, particularly if they're mechanics, doesn't really matter. The point is, if the customer finds out that you've deliberately sabotaged a board, for right or wrong. I know people who do data recovery jobs often are faced with that conundrum. So you spend a lot of time trying to get the data off someone's iPhone. You finally succeed, and then they'd say, oh, we actually don't need it anymore, or that's too expensive, even if you quoted them ahead. So it's like, damn you. Wow, this bottom plate does not sit right. That screw's way out of whack. The worst thing is you can't even hold the device, as in you can't sort of go, well, I'm not going to give it to you. Certainly you can't do that here in Australia. Okay, let's see, we got boot. It took a while to boot because that is one of the 3435 boards. It's not a 164 board. I guess that's fine. It should start charging soon. I'm just going to verify that. But here in Queensland of Australia, if someone leaves, the other problem is abandonment of equipment. So I've got a few shelves full of stuff that people have said they'll come and pick up, and they never do. 6 months later, still nothing. And the worst is, even if it's a dead machine, and you just want them to come and pick it up, and they don't, you can't get rid of it, just in case they do turn up and say, where is that machine? And you'll be legally liable to compensate them for the loss of that machine, even if it was faulty. So the law doesn't work very well in your favour if you have these sort of jobs that turn up that people either don't collect or don't pay for and things like that, because you have no ability to effectively compensate yourself. Particularly for anything less than, say, $5,000 worth of a device, you're going to lose money one way or another. The red flashing is just the barcode scanner. So it's a reflection of the barcode scanner, and the barcode scanner triggers by motion. So just turn it off to the side a little bit. Just waiting to see this charge. It looks like it is charging 2.6 amps. I just want to see it clock up 1%. What's that? Mechanic Leons. What are they? I don't know what they are. I mean, you can, after 6 months, if you have not been able to successfully get the customer to come and pick up or pay for the device, you can get rid of it, but you have to advertise that you're going to do a public auction in three major publications, and then any money you make, you have to take out of that money or a portion of what the value was of the device to give back to the original owners. So you're still not free from it. So you're trading the equipment sitting on your shelves for money sitting in your bank that they have legal right to. It's just madness. I think abandonment should be, 12 months. Okay, if they think 6 months is a little short, fine, I can appreciate that. But after 12 months, you should be able to just discard the stuff. Come on, 1%. 1% always takes a long time to come up. PC enthusiast, yeah, I mean, it's sort of not really getting that thrill so much these days. I gotta admit, the greater thrill is just simply knowing that the bank balance should go up. I've got a lot of renovations to do on this place, so kind of have to pump that up a lot. This is... I'll put the lid down and give it some time. Stick it on the hold shelf. See if we can find something else. Pardon me. Let's see. Another one I've got to reassemble. I'm sorry. Forgive me for this, but I've got to reassemble these to get them out the door. If I can find it. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. This is the one downside of when you work for yourself. You can't offload jobs to someone else. Like, you'd like to be able to just sort of go, there you go, reassemble this machine for me so that I can get on with other work. Instead, you've got to do it yourself. It's like, damn it. Hey, Blue Dog Ron. Any updates on the house stuff? Still waiting for the in-laws to move out because they're waiting for the people who are currently living in the house that they've bought to move out properly. Funnily enough, the people that were living in the house that the in-laws have bought have now moved in next door into the rental. So it's a small world. But I think there's a whole bunch of stuff like cleaning the yard and the house or whatever, all the things you need to do for getting your bond back. I think they're going through that process, and there's probably just more delays, surprise surprise, due to Easter. So I'm thinking maybe in 2 weeks finally the in-laws will be starting to shift out, maybe. Then once that happens, we're going to be very busy stripping out a whole bunch of stuff. So there'll be a lot of trips down to the dump for me with the truck. And then once everything's stripped out, we have to work on weatherproofing the house again, because there's roof leaks and things like that. Once the roof is fixed, we can put solar on there. So that'll be nice. Ready for next summer. And then we're going to do the ceilings, we'll do the walls, and finally we can do the floors. Fairly sure we've decided on what we're going to do about the floor. This office and the one that I'm going to use for the storage room, we're not going to do anything with the floor. Only because ultimately I'm going to be having an outside workshop, a new workshop built completely scratch from new. So there's no point to me doing anything with the floors in the rooms that I'm going to be residing in, this room and next door, until I've got the new workshop, and then I just sort of move out of here and then we can redo these rooms again. Okay. Have a look at microinverter solder. How's that going to be different to... we're going to put about 7 to 10 kilowatt on the roof here. We could actually easily fit about 20 kilowatt on the roof here. I think the bigger thing is going to be getting battery power. Battery storage rather. Okay, I've got a speaker missing here, I just realised. Hey Sonia, Siki. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of investment on the repair side of things, yes. Ach man. That said, realistically, the capital investment to get into repairs is not that high. I mean, you could probably get started on about $2,000. Realistically, closer to perhaps 5,000. But it's comparatively cheap, really. I mean, you compare to, say, being a mechanic. Being a mechanic, you'd probably invest 5,000 just in basic tools alone. And I think that's also one of the reasons why this industry has so many people who perhaps shouldn't be in the industry, because it has a low cost barrier of entry. So, you know, you drop 2,000 or even less in some cases, and put a sign up and say you're a professional board repairer, and away you go. You know, no one's going to double check you. And there's gold everywhere, at least perceived that way. Whoops, wrong one. There, I'm being a moron now. Yeah, easy jobs. Do a backlight, change a fuse, scrub away the corrosion, dab some solder here and there, and voila, you're a professional. I guess in the technical terms you are, because you're taking money for a job. Yeah, scopes. Oh, damn you people, you made me... I made a fundamental mistake there. It looks like I'm not professional either. I'll let you decide what that mistake was. A winner gets nothing from me. So, any takers on what the mistake is? Yes, PC enthusiast, that's quite right. The damage to customer gear is certainly extensive. And it's frustrating because the customer's already spent their money now, and they come to you hoping that you can fix it, but you can't. You might be able to fix it, but not at a price that they can afford anymore, because they spent all their money with the dodgy brothers. We have a deal for you. Yeah, that was a mistake. I forgot to put the display cable back on. Battery data cable's already there, so wasn't that one. Fortunately, at least I hadn't fully reassembled the machine, but it was getting close. It's very frustrating when you do stuff like that. You know you have no alternative but to pull it apart and do it again, but you certainly sit there and battle with yourself for a little bit and like go, maybe I can not do it. So nope, you gotta do it. haven't had a chance to catch a Lewis Rossman repair stream in a long time now. The timing just doesn't seem to line up. I feel kind of sad that he probably won't be doing much in the way of repairs by the time my next major release of Flexboard View is out. So he's going to miss out on all the new things that are going to come out for it. But yeah, there's only so much I can do in a given day, and I'm pretty exhausted these days. So I'm not really getting as much done on Flexboard View as I want. It's hard enough even just trying to keep up with putting out any small fires with obscure corner cases that come up as faults. Pedro, I still prefer the 1466s. 1932s though, I'll definitely go for a 1932, that style of board. They to me truly are one of the simplest. I think he's pretty much stopped streaming and stopped repairing in terms of the repairs. He doesn't get a lot of time. He's too busy now with all the right to repair, and yeah, he's become management now. Management and what do you call it? Social personality. If he does do a repair stream, I guess it's more, I don't know, just an oddity than a routine. Influencer, right, yes, that's the word. Now I've got to find that speaker. I'm fairly sure I've got one over here if nothing else. Yep. Mind you, I've got two studs missing. I guess we'll just, damn it. I swear I saw there it is. Yep. The construction of the way they hold these speakers down is a little bit weird. They've actually got a hex nut stud type arrangement, so you have to separate it, put it back into the board. Mind you, that's the other way you can go about it, is you just push it through like that. Yeah. Still need another one. We'll use this one here. You got to be pretty careful talking these down, otherwise you will just shred the thread on that. Okay. Esther Benguito, I don't see it ceasing anytime soon. I think that, sure, it might not be MacBooks for so much longer, but there's always going to be something. having the skill set of being a micro solderer is going to be required for quite a period of time yet. But certainly the easy pickings of MacBooks is perhaps going to go away. Although that said, we've still got at least 4 or 5 years, based on the fact that even the M1s are still serviceable. For as long as they have construction like this, open board components like caps and resistors, and all that sort of thing, as long as they have that, then there is a certain portion of the failures that should be repairable. Just hope to... I am actually going to leave that disconnected, now that I think about it. The reason being is because the last time the damn thing went up in smoke, and I don't want it doing that in transit. This is a bit of an overkill, but I'd rather have an overkill than something catching on fire. There's no way now that battery assembly can provide power into the board. Sorry, I have to put the back plate on outside of camera view. It reveals a little bit too much. Just sit there and marvel at my greasy head right now. Lack of sleep does not agree with me too much. The reason why the lack of sleep lately is it's just the stress of everything, which isn't a huge amount, but combination of everything and the fact that we have a friendly stray cat who decides that each night he's going to come into a house a couple of times, and it's like it's cute and all, but it's very disruptive. Fortunately, he doesn't fight with any of ours, but like I said, it is disruptive. You got to get up, you got to rout him out of the house. So I'm just double checking my screw lengths here, making sure I'm not dropping a long one in the short hole. Okay, yep, you're good. Okay, you're super long, so you go in the back corner. You're a shorty, so you go in the middle. And the mediums go in the front corners. Okay. Right. Okay, that one's out of here. Let's see, what other victims can I find here? What's your problem? I love it when I can't recognize something I'm looking at. No power. You have no power here. Okay, is this fixable? Got a no power 1708. I've got a feeling I've actually fixed this one. Let's see. What do you think about the price of one? Haven't seen them here. Have you seen framework laptops? Yeah, I've seen the framework laptops, and there was actually a point of issue that I had was the fact that, in spite of them saying, we've got schematics and such so you can repair them, when I said, well, can we get board views, then that discussion just went sideways. They're not really aware of. This is where the education side of things has to come in. The manufacturers or the people who do have the access to generate this board views, they won't let them out because they feel like they're giving out the design files, which is not what we're asking for. So I've got this whole task of having to produce an education campaign for manufacturers to explain to them that board views are not design files. Let's see. Let's have a look at this one, see if it does boot. This is Jim's meter, by the way. Okay, 5 volts, 20 volts. Why do I get the feeling this is fixed? $547. I'm just going to check my job management. Oh, I see the problem here. This one's got no CPU activity. That's right. Yeah, so what we had on this one is that there was one chip that had some lines shorted on it. Where are we? So this chip here, we had a shorted area all around here. We replaced the chip and it did come up to 20 volts, but unfortunately that was it. It just comes up 20 volts and sits around, does nothing. So something else is amiss and I'm not sure what. And I really would like to get it fixed, but I have a horrible feeling it's probably dead CPU. I've even replaced the ISL. Yep. Can I mark that down? Yeah. ISL replaced. No change. So I'm not real sure what I'm gonna find here, or what. I suppose I'll just measure the resistances of the CPU. I do see the CPU voltage momentarily peak on this one, and then it just goes away. So it flashes on and then dead. So yeah, I'm not having the greatest of hope for this. We'll just take the drive out. This is the 840. Yeah. Thanks for yeah, it is. I've already marked it. Where the hell's my spudger gone? Spudger. Where are you, Spudger? It's such a common tool, and yet I lose it so commonly. Well, we'll just steal this one. Now, what worries me here is that I noticed Tim Herman was recently complaining about this uptick of 840s that are failing on him just as CPU or PCH values. So I'm kind of worried this one has also fallen into that collection. 547. Ooh, that doesn't actually stick. Try it again without the drive in it. Now, apparently this thing's got Bluetooth, but I haven't had a chance to intermesh it with anything. I suppose I could try on my mobile. Okay, that's weird. That's not coming up. Did I just kill Jim's meter? Looking for my spare meters. Damn it. What's going on here? Power supply is on. The one thing I will complain about almost all of these meters is they have all these buttons and switches on the side, and it seems like whenever you handle them you end up pressing them. Okay, that's working. So why is this one not working? Oh, now it's working. Well, Pantelis, with regards, these days, yeah, they are intellectual property, but at the same time they're not enough to, particularly these days, they are not enough to create the device. Most of the devices these days, if they have any sort of high-speed communication lines, it all needs to be routed properly to make sure you've got timing and impedance balances. And a great deal of the devices all have some manner of a microcontroller on board, and without the firmware it's essentially useless. It's like a brainless brick. So we've gotten to the point now where even if someone has your design files, if they don't have the firmware design, then the programming code of it, then it's useless to them. I mean, yeah, there's a certain number of aspects that will be perhaps some sort of smart way of doing something on the physical side of things that they might want to protect. I get that, but overall the majority of the intellectual property seems to be all in the firmware these days. 270, they're not really getting very good values on this. I mean, as it was in the old days, we used to always have schematics in the devices. You'd be supplied with a schematic. We didn't need board views back then because we had silkscreen, and of course there weren't really any machines to make use of board views. But now everybody's got the computers, we can all use the board views, and we need them because of the part density and the lack of silkscreen. Pedro, yeah, I've got one of those, yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah, nothing. Can you zoom? Maybe. The trouble is it wiggles out. Sorry. I'm not here to make people happy. I'm here to fix things. Yeah, 2.5 ohms. I don't like that. I don't know. There's 840. What's the resistance of the CPU usually goes on those? I've seen plenty at 2.4 or so, but I don't know if it's too low for this one. And the fun thing is with the schematics from years ago is back then you actually could replicate the entire device with that schematic, and what was there. If you're really unfortunate, they might have had something like a PLA that they burned. Well, I guess that was it. So like around about starting at the late 80s, things like PLAs really started coming into play. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of lacking information on the 840 board to know whether I've got myself a dead one here or not. So I'm getting my 20 volts. It looks like it's trying to stage up, get running, but it just doesn't get there. I do find it interesting that it's doing that, because even though those lines were shorted, I can't imagine that they would have killed the CPU. So I don't know what else I'm missing here. I mean, obviously I'm missing something, but I don't know what. Ah, there it is. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't show the inner layers. Like, you've only got your top and bottom. In fact, most board views, like the ones we get for the MacBooks, there's almost no information on how to create the board view there. The board. Yeah, so it powers up. It gets to an SO state. Probably can't see that. The brightness is a bit excessive. No, that doesn't help one bit. Nor does that. So yeah, it gets to an SO state, but it never get a green blink. So I don't know what's going on. Doesn't seem hopeful. Oh, the power. Well, like I said, I'm getting up to SO, but I'll go through them all and have a double check as well. Not like it's going to hurt. Let's see, 840. Check under the heatsink. I'm not sure yet. There's usually not much under these heatsinks. These ones, they've got a captive border around them, so there aren't actually any parts under there. And even under here, they don't have the parts anymore. It's all just empty space. We'll go through the rails. So we're up to SO, so 3.2. Okay, Pedro, that's within the margin of error, so I'm going to accept that the CPU at least isn't blatantly shorted. So we'll go through the rails, have a look, see what we can find. Blimey heck. can't get my glasses clear. Very frustrating. Hey, Rilla. Now we need some nice abrasive paper to wipe down the glasses. Oh yeah, wow. Whew. Can see. I don't know if we've ever encountered... I haven't ever encountered a cracked die on these before. No, we'll go through and we'll check the voltages first. Not ultrasonicing yet. Oh, you mean the glasses, right. My bad. What I would have liked with this chipmunk design is if there was a way to actually have the banana socket coming off at this angle rather than like this, because when you flip the board up and down, the banana socket gets in the way. But if it was a nice socket just straight off the outside here, that would be awesome. Maybe I'll find one, a right angle one, and solder it on. It's got a great big ground plane there. Because it's a useful idea, it's just I can't get it to be useful to me most of the time because of the fact that it causes this angular tension on the board, and you kind of get something else to do the job for the moment. Not that I'm a great big believer in these type of clips. They do have a bad tendency of giving you false readings, mostly due to the fact that even though they're clamping, there's usually a gap and it's sort of like, it's dodgy at best. No, I don't have the confidence. I'm just going to have to do, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm just going to plug it straight into the power supply. Okay, ground lead is now plugged straight into the power supply, which is actually very wrong because I'm not powering it by the power supply. Crap. And if you're going, why is it not powered by the power supply? It's because it's coming through the genuine Apple adapter. Yes, sweetie.
I'm just popping down to the shop.
Okay, you got money?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Yep, I took 50 out of your thing.
You took 50 out of the safe. You took a 50. I left a 20 in the... Oh, fine. You're killing me, Alita.
Well, I took 2 20s and a 10.
Oh,
So it feels like less.
I worked hard for that 50. Alright. Lita just telling me that she's stealing all my money. Alright, we're going the all in so we can actually see what we're doing. I just realised I may as well drop the glasses off because I'm going to be under the microscope soon enough. Alright, well, let's just get going with the obvious. Why do I keep doing that? $13. Does that seem right? 13? Sorry, I really need to pick up my software because I should be, yeah, PP bus G3 hot, that should really be around about 20. Or maybe I just need to look at DC. Let's have a look at DC in first. Microscope. Yeah, sorry this is a bit of a wishy-washy stream. I already can feel it is myself. Welcome to the daily life of tech. Okay, that's obviously not the one we're plugged into. Okay, so we've got 20 volts of DC in, which is great. And I have lost Jim. I don't know what's going on with this meter, but it keeps dropping out on me. It might be the board at fault. I'll check it later. And funnily enough, the 5 volt LDO is going on in here. Okay, look at that. 3v3 G3 hot. $341, a little on the high side. I don't know, Jim. I'll have another look. It could just be this board playing silly buggers with it. $3v3S4. Interesting how a good number of these early rails are hanging out around this chip that I had to replace. It's interesting that 3v3S4 is closer to the 3v3 that I want. And I'm not going to be able to measure under that resistor, I'm afraid. Oh wait, there's another point there. I can get it on this point here. Oh, you can't see. I thought I was in the 4. Okay, that's better. And what am I measuring? 3v3SO. So that's bang on about what you want. Test point on the outside. $1.8, that's correct. $1.2 is good. .6, that's good. Good thing we got these test points out here. 0.6, that's fine. And unfortunately we can't get access to this area here because it's under metal shield. It's annoying. Fairly sure this is not going to be a memory power issue, but then again we don't know. 1306, oh okay, thanks Pedro. Oh, I do have 0.6 volts. So 0.6 on VCC CPU. Point 8 on the next one. Okay, we got nothing on this one here, which is VCC GT. That's the graphics chip, I'm guessing. Question is, are we meant to have anything on that, or is that only switched on when it's required? Let's check the resistance on that line. Why are you locked in volts mode? Why'd you switch back to volts for? Okay, let's try for that resistance again. 3.2, so it's not short. I'm feeling it might not be brought up until it's required. Point 2, that's good. Now this is why I really need to work on having sequences built in for the open board data, because by doing sequences, what I can do is a flex board view will actually immediately take you to the next point where you've got to make a test. instead of doing this back forth trash. I mean 8, 9 rather. Okay, Copaz, bugger off. Thank you for being here, Copaz. We care, we really do, I think. Now, Pedro, I've already done it with a few other boards, I just haven't done it with this one. Mostly I've done it with the... can't remember the names of the boards. But yeah, there's a few I've done already. Okay, now we've got this really crazy area. One volt. So the CPU rails are certainly showing up. Well, most of them. Especially you need the one that's dead. Hey Crazy J, 3v3 SA. Yeah, I believe we tested that. Let's review one. Yep, 3 volts there. Actually, that's interesting. That's they've got that listed as 3v1, so 3.1 volts, but we're actually only getting just on 3 volt. Oh no, yeah, 308. It's close enough to 3.1. Yep, that's there. It gets real boring real fast. This is why you like to get jobs that have got very distinct faults on them. Yep, 1 volt's good. So you don't have to actually use your brains or anything, you just look around and go, ta-da, there's the fault. 1.8. Yeah, exactly, 2 billion rails to check. Welcome to the boredom that is genuine board repair. 1 volt. And you get these packed areas that are extremely annoying. That's interesting, I've got a 0 ohm resistor there instead of a cap. .98, yep, that's right. I think I also need to come up with a way that when I'm doing these diagnostic type things that I can silence the normal net view and just simply make it shine up 1 point. Okay, 1.8 volt, that's good. Pentelis 1708, so yeah, they're 20, they're not that old. 3v3 SO. Hey, I thought we did check 3v3 SO. What's going on here? Someone's pulled a trick on us, have they? Anyway, we've got 3v3 SO. It'd be funny if this thing was running the whole time. Yep. Fun and entertaining's only entertaining when it's making money. And quite frankly, this is not right now, so it's not entertaining to me. Oh, decently, right? Yeah, I did. I read them as recently. In terms of the build quality, I've got no qualms with them. I know some people say it's an Apple, it's trash, but really, those people need to work on some PC laptops to appreciate that Apple Mac laptops are actually surprisingly nice to work on. I know it's cool to bash Apple laptops, but realistically, their board qualities are pretty good. So 5.1, so that 5.12, that in my opinion is actually a little high for a 5 VSO. The only rail we did not find was this one here. This, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure it's probably GT, IMVP, so I don't exactly know. VCC GT, is that the graphics side of it, or is it something else? I don't know. No, or is this the main drive? Oh no, it's the main one. Yeah. Okay. So we're not getting that rail, which is actually seemingly the main one. It's these three here. Which I gotta admit I did know because I've measured it before. Alright, time to then check things like the inputs. Are we even getting power? Which we should be, but hey, what happened there? Are we getting the 5 volts? Okay, we've got 13 volts, which is right. And do we get the 5 VSO, which I'm pretty sure we've tested multiple times now. We do, that's the 5122. So for all intents and purposes, these three-phase controllers are getting their power. And we're not seeing any particular short, so the only thing I can possibly think of is a current sense failure. So could we have a dead U7100? What's your opinion of the quality of ASUS laptops? Probably best not ask me that. It's, I would say, unpredictable. Some of them can be great, some of them can be terrifying. So, what are our chances of thinking it's this ISL? I like that it's all edge bonded. Hey Marco, Magic Ball says evil switch. What's evil switch? So this controls all aspects of the CPU, 3 phases, current sensing, everything like that. Because honestly, yeah, they don't look, I mean, yeah, sure, you got your crooked coil there and whatnot, but that's not a problem. The only thing we have originally is that there was liquid damage on this chap here, and that was it. Well, no harm in swapping the controller, so I guess we'll have a shot at that, shall we? I know it seems silly putting flux around where it's already got the edge bonding, but we use that to help lift the edge bonding. Can't believe my wife took my $50 note. Ta-da! If only SMCs would come off that easy, eh? I think also the big problem with PC laptops is that you're always dealing with machines that are being built down to a price. Yeah, most of the time when you get a machine coming in, it's going to be sort of a sub $1,000 machine, which means you know you're going to be dealing with some sort of compromises. And because they churn them out at such a rate, it's very hard to get good board views and schematics. The upside, I suppose, though, of the PC laptops in general is that they are cookie cut almost exclusively, universally. So once you sort of get used to them enough, then it's not a major process to work your way around them. I mean, it's pretty much true of MacBooks anyway. So most of the time we stick with MacBooks because we know MacBooks. Kind of curious to see where else that chip appears. I mean, I've got one of these boards, so hopefully, but I am curious to see if that part's available elsewhere. 840, no surprise. Son of a gun, someone's taken my... Oh, you've taken it in both instances? Are they stripping these chips from donors? Because that's two now that... I know I have not replaced this controller on other boards. So they're actually missing from the board I've purchased as a donor. Well, that makes me slightly cranky. Okay, this one has one, thankfully. Alright, so what have we got? 244s. Oh, wow, it's on the 244s, okay. 875s, 928s, 1700s, 23928. Okay, so there's a few others that are on, which is good. A1425 Ah, shoot, solder bridges here. The end has begun. 15828. Pay no heed to what I am doing right now, just carry on. Yep, that's where one was. Aha, I was wrong. Looks a little beaten up, but it might do the job. Hey babe.
Maybe I got a rotisserie chicken. Would you like any or later? Because you're probably in the middle of something right now.
Oh no, look, I can finish up in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Do you want me to make you a sandwich?
Yeah, that'd be tops. Thank you, my love. I don't do daylight. We don't believe in daylight saving around here. It would be absolutely ludicrous for us to have daylight saving. It means we wouldn't see the sun go down till probably flipping 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. It's ridiculous. You got to realise that, the northern part of Queensland, due to the way the shape is state, we're a lot further west than Brisbane is. Which means we already see the sun well and truly long enough. Not to mention it's downright boiling hot up here anyway. She took my $50. She owes me a sandwich, I guess. I wouldn't say that to her face. She'd punch me. Maybe not physically, but psychologically she would. I don't feel that chip's down properly. And that's why, because there's a great big blob of solder I have to get rid of first. Oh right, daylight saving for Jim, right, okay, sorry. It can get difficult to keep track of everything in chat with the half-second glimpses that I make of the chat window. I had itself a bit of a movie night last night. Finally got to watch all of Soylent Green, and then I watched Deliverance, see the start of Burt Reynolds in his great career, and what else? And then I watched some cave coal mining rescue movie. It wasn't the Queensland, not Queensland. It wasn't the Tasmania one. It was another one. It was an independent film. It wasn't too bad actually, considering it was independent. Alright, so that controller's replaced. You've been in a Sailor Moon bend. I couldn't get into Sailor Moon. It just wasn't my thing. Alrighty. Let's just double check I haven't made any bridges on that controller, because remember we are dealing with the CPU controller, so we don't want accidental snafus. Yeah, there's a little bit of offsetness, but it's not severe, so it's okay. Yeah. So we've got our 20 volts, 550, 570. Okay, our current has changed slightly. We're up to the 650, then 4, so something has changed a little bit. We're going to plug in the chipmunk. We won't be able to see the current details, but we might be able to see if it gives us a green blink at least. Yeah, okay, so we're in SO state. We're just going to wait to see if we can get a green blink off there. Come on, give us a green blink. Probably not going to get anything. Doesn't look good. No. Crikey. Let's see if we even got any voltage on the CPU this time. Nothing at all. Wah wah. So something's stopping it. I don't know what it is. There is a little bit of warmth in there. It's obviously from a different section, PCH section maybe. Okay, we just... It's funny, everything's getting hot. Where's that infrared camera? It's quite likely is annealed. So camera controllers all warm. Seems like they always are. And see the CPU's sort of like got some sort of warmth in it, but nothing dramatic. So it's very much as it was before. But yeah, that camera controller seems to always end up getting warm on everything. The visual and the thermal images are offset a bit there. There we go. So yeah, something getting a little warm in there, but okay, that's about right there. You can see the controller's slightly warm, and then whatever that extra warmth is, it seems to be coming from in here perhaps. Because funnily enough, that warmth there, that is there. So that's not coming through the board. This, I'm not feeling anything there. I'll put some alcohol down and see if anything changes. So let's see here, this is the area where it's getting warm. And as you can see, it's nothing spectacularly hot or anything like that, it's just general warmth. Even though it looks like it's a hot spot under the infrared camera, it's all relative. So as you can see, there's nothing really boiling away there. And as I said, the original fault was there was corrosion on this chip here, on the output on the right side there, and that was it. And then we replaced that, we got our 20 volts, but then we didn't get any further. And as I said before, the camera chips seem to always have this warmth aspect about them. When you look at it under the microscope, yeah, with the liquid. Hey, actually interesting, we just lost 5 volt. And here, so we've got power, but we don't have a steady 5 volts. Probably because I've been manhandling it with all the alcohol and I upset it. Walter, you want to tell me what cap that was? Because I didn't see any hot cap in there. You mean over here? Nothing showed up. Okay, so you got your backlight there. Interesting, I definitely lost. Okay, 5 volts is actually pulsing now. Don't know if you can see this. Oh, it was for a split second. There, see? Pulse, 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 pulse. And so does CPU activity. Alright, we might actually have a pulsar now. So I'll bring out the infrared again and see if anything shows up. Just gotta wait for the camera to get booted. Come on, boot. Camera, boot. There we go, we're booted. That I think might be reflectance. because there aren't actually any parts there. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. Why does my shoddy software have to do this to me? Please stand by. It's my bad quality software. The infrared camera is a piece of software that I wrote, and once I got my first couple of pictures, that was... Have you run out of battery? No, you haven't. Yeah, once I got my first couple of infrared pictures, I kind of stopped developing it. Scumbucket. Ah, okay. Ah, you are just giving me nightmares. No, see, there's nothing showing up there. If it's pulsing, you would... we see we're back up to the normal 5-volt crap now. Yeah. I think I'm going to get my sandwich and come back to this later. Because I'm usually pretty good at picking out the pulsing type jobs. And nothing's coming up here. Yeah, I'll ask for a refund. Yeah. Yeah, so we're back to this sort of thing. I think it dropped down to that situation because I put alcohol on the board, like this. Give it a rub dub and see if it does it again. Yeah, it's because I put alcohol in there, it's upsetting something in there. So I'll have a look at that later. Yeah, see, there it goes. It just went all pulsy crazy. I'll have a look at that later when I finish my sandwich. I'm hungry. I need food. I need energy. I'll see you all later. Okay, till next time.